Joining us now, a fantastic director, Antoine Fuqua. Did I get your last name right, Antoine?
Yes, sir.
Excellent. Very good, man. It's the new movie. I'm stoked about it. Brooklyn's Finest. It looks awesome. And it's coming from a guy, people are like, cop movies, sometimes they're good, sometimes they're bad. This is coming from a guy who's directed what's considered by most people one of the greatest cop movies ever, Training Day. So you know what you're doing when it comes to these cop movies.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's a deep world to get into, and like I said, I grew up watching movies, the G-Men and all of the Public Enemies and all that, from the '40s, and those great movies from the '70s, like French Connection. And I just like to go back to that world,
That's cool. And your story is kind of cool just in its own right. I mean, you started out doing music videos and stuff like that and just got so good and such. I mean, people liked your work so much. Now you moved into the features, and then you got to do, now you're doing huge features, and you're, probably considered for a lot of these big projects. Like, how's that feel that you thought, I want to do videos, you kind of get in small, and now you're at the top of the stack?
Yeah, it's a great feeling, man. It's been a grind, obviously, like anything worth doing, man. But it's a great feeling, man. I've been blessed and lucky as well. But it's a constant reminder that it's all about the work. You got to deliver the goods.
Yeah, definitely. Tell people a little bit. I'm sure they've seen a trailer here and there, but tell people what Brooklyn's Finest is all about.
It's about pressure. It's about men under pressure. In particular, this case, these three different police officers. Don Cheadle plays an undercover cop who's gotten too close to Wesley Snipes, who plays a drug kingpin who just got out of prison, who wants to change his life, but the system won't let him, and they want Don Cheadle to put him back in jail, even though he hasn't done anything yet on the streets, and they become friends, and that's a dilemma and a pressure that he's under. And then Richard Gere plays a cop that's about to retire in 7 days, and he's just sick of mankind, man. He doesn't want to have anything to do with it. Mm-hmm. And he gets challenged at the end to do the right thing in a pretty nasty way. And then you got Ethan Hawke, who, man, he basically picked up where Denzel left off in Training Day. And he's got a family of 5 kids, a wife pregnant with twins, living in a house with mold, can't afford a new house. The mold is killing one of the twins in her lungs, and he's got some serious choices to make because he plays a task force cop. So every time he goes through the door and there's 75 or 100 grand sitting on the table, do you take that money?
Dude, that's what's so real about these movies to me, man. It's like you don't have to be a cop or even know about cops to understand what like a dilemma something like that is. Where your life's falling apart and money could solve a lot of your problems, and you're sitting there with a huge stack of money. What do you do?
That's right. That's the question. That's what it's all. The choices you make, man, can be deadly sometimes. Even though the question is in the movie, which is right or wrong, which is the first line of the movie. Can you do the wrong thing for the right reasons? Is that acceptable? And especially if you're a police officer. If you know this cat's a drug dealer or whatever he is, but if you don't follow the rules, can you just go and knock him upside his head and take him down? Or will you wind up in jail?
Mm-hmm. That's a good question. Here's another good question from me. How do you know, so much about the cop world? There's a lot of cop movies out there, and a lot of them just get written off because it's like they seem too fake or too, they take the crazy aspects and just make them too huge. Like, what did you do to make your movies so realistic and so believable?
It's kind of my life, man. I grew up with cops. I didn't like them growing up because I didn't understand them, and I was mistreated like a lot of young guys, on the street. You're just a young knucklehead. You're running around thinking you know everything, and some cop comes and pops you upside the head with a stick. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You don't think you deserve that. And then as I grew up, I became friends with a lot of cops, but not just, guys walking the beat. Like, I became tight with guys that act like gangsters and talk like gangsters and behave like gangsters. And I was like, man, y'all really almost the same. And a lot of them will admit, yeah, we are, because you have to become what you're chasing. And, in order to be a good cop, you better have that in you. And that fascinated me, man. And then I became friends with guys from DEA that went, down in Bogota chasing, drug dealers. And their behavior was so gangster, so street, that I realized that they were one step away from being on the other side, but they are the best cops out there.
Yeah, that's probably true. The clean-cut guys, they have a lot harder time than these guys that are living the life.
Well, the clean-cut guys don't know anything, man. Those are the guys that, say, oh, well, that's not realistic and stuff like that. But how could it not be realistic where in New York City you got 45,000 police officers? That's the size or larger than most countries' military. And you got about 150 psych doctors dealing with 45,000 men and women that are out there dealing with the worst of mankind every day. And the psych doctors are only really capable of dealing with alcoholism or family abuse, you know what I mean, that kind of thing. How do you deal with a guy that walked in a house and saw the whole family murdered by their father or mother or whatever, and then you're supposed to go home and be happy about it, and you make less than $30,000 a year?
Exactly. Yeah, it's kind of like that's
a recipe for disaster.
I was just going to say, it's got all the ingredients for something bad to happen.
Absolutely, man. And that's what we deal with every day. And those are the guys riding around protecting us with guns on their hip.
That's what I love. It's something we all think about, you know, and it's like it's a very exciting thing, and it's cool the way you take those pieces and put them together in a movie, but you don't sensationalize it, you know. You don't think, oh, well, this is a cool scenario, let's add, you know, a missile to it, you know, or something. You take it and keep it realistic, and I think that's why your movies resonate so much with people. Yeah,
that's what I care about, man. It's just, you know, I got to be on the streets and keep it grounded and make it feel as real as I can so people can experience that and get close to that, obviously in a safe environment, and just, you know, be entertained, but also walk out discussing, you know, these issues, man. That walk to the car is a big deal, you know, that opening weekend, to discuss what you saw. If it's worth a discussion, then it was worth me making.
Yeah, that's a good theory on it. Brooklyn's Finest, it opens tomorrow everywhere. People can definitely go check that movie out. What's coming up next after Brooklyn's Finest, so what do you have on the agenda?
I got a movie called Consent to Kill, based on these Vince Flynn books. About counterterrorism, a guy named Mitch Rapp, who is the head of counterterrorism for the CIA, and it takes me kind of around the world, man, and it's pretty intense, man. So hopefully that will come together, and I'm waiting for my next draft in the next few days on Pablo Escobar.
Yeah, Pablo Escobar, that's a big one. Isn't Oliver Stone working on that too?
Oliver was working on the one I was working on with, as a producer.
That's cool. That's just how, I mean, you know, you've made it when you get to work with, I mean, guys like that. You've got the biggest actors starring in your movies. You've got, you know, talented people in the film business wanting to work with you all the time. You're on the top, Antoine. Just know that.
It's a good feeling, man. It's a good feeling. That's why I keep my feet on the ground.
That's cool. Yeah.
You go make movies up in Brooklyn and down in South Central, they'll remind you, you know.
Exactly. Stick with the roots there. Antoine Fuqua, the movie Brooklyn's Finest, it opens tomorrow. Richard Gere, Don Cheadle, Ethan Hawke, Wesley Snipes. It looks like it's going to be awesome, man. Antoine, thanks so much for being on the show. You've been great, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man.
All right, see you. Have a good one.
All right, you too, man.
The Big J Show. Weekday mornings from 6 till 10 on Billings' #1 hit music station, Hot 101.9.